All right, we're going on to chapter 32. We're getting near the end. I believe maybe 10 chapters left. All right. In January, rationing began. Rationing means like you don't have a lot of stuff, so like you can't eat as much, or like if you have to ration like your bread, and let's say you only have like one slice a day instead of like a full sandwich. It was a way of sharing out what food there was so that rich people like Susan couldn't go hogging it and leaving poor people to starve. Rationing meant there might not be any butter or meat in the shops, and if there was, you better get it fast before it sold out. If you remember when we read Number the Stars, remember they talked about how there's no butter or sugar and stuff? So this must be earlier in the war, where that book was later in the war. We all had ration books that said how much food we were allowed. It made Jamie nervous. Me too. Susan had always given us plenty of food, but we knew that was because she was rich no matter what she said. I'd gotten used to eating regular. We tried eating less. The first time Jamie asked to be excused before he finished his dinner, Susan felt his forehead. "Are you sick?" she asked. He shook his head. "Then eat. I know you can't be full." "I'll save it for tomorrow," he said. I pushed my plate away. Me too. Susan told us firmly that we were not to save our dinners. We said rationing meant we would have to eat different kinds of foods, more vegetables, less meat, less butter, and sweets. It did not mean that there would not be enough food. There would always be enough food. She would personally see that we always had enough to eat. "Even if you have to get a job?" I asked her. "Yes," she said firmly. "Even if I have to char." Chars were the lowliest kind of cleaning lady. Oh. Some of the older girls on our lane back home were chars. "Why?" I asked. She looked at me blank. "Why? You don't want us? You don't even like us?" Jamie held perfectly still. Susan sipped her tea, the way she always did when she was stalling. "Of course I'd like you," she said. "Don't I act as though I like you?" I shrugged. "I never wanted children," she continued, "because you can't have children without being married, and I never want to be married. When I shared this home with Becky, that was the happiest I had ever been. I wouldn't trade that for anything, not even children. I was so sad the day you came, but it wasn't about you. I was just sad. I don't think I could take good care of you. I didn't think I could take good care of any children." "And you didn't want to?" I said. "Especially us." Susan said, "Ada, what's this about really? The better you get, the worse you seem." I shrugged again. It was scary how angry I felt inside. At Susan for being temporary, at Mom for not caring about us, at Fred for wearing the scarf I had knit him from his wife's wool every day, as though it was something special, when I could see myself how I dropped some stitches and picked up others so that the scarf was full of holes. So it's really funny that the nicer people are to her, the more they show they care. She's an anger inside of her that's like burning, which makes you wonder why. Add Maggie for loaning me her copy of Alice's Adventure Through the Looking Glass when I told her how much I liked Alice in Wonderland, as though books were something she could just give out like yesterday's newspaper. As though I would be able to sit down and read it as easily as she would. As though the letter I sent her when she went back to school, which took me hours and was full of scratches and misspellings, was anything at all like her letter back to me written in ink with a curvy handwriting. At the war for taking us away from Mom before she realized she loved us. At myself for being so glad to go. "Ada," Susan spoke slowly and clearly, "right now you are here. I am not sending you and Jamie away. You will both stay here. I will take care of you. You will have enough to eat. You are learning to read and write. Next year you're going to school. We will get your mother's permission, and as soon as we do, you will get the operation to fix your foot, and we will be well. Relax." When she started to speak, I almost went away to place my head where I didn't feel anything. But Susan tapped my arm, keeping me with her, and she put her hand lightly around my wrist while she spoke. I pulled her hand away, but I stayed where I could hear. That's how I heard the words, "An operation to fix your foot." Fix my foot? What on earth did she mean? 3 days later, I rode Butter to the top of the hill. I halted where we would see the sea dark and violent and thrashing, where the wind whipped Butter's mane against a against my bad foot, held it as it was by the crook of the side saddle. The wind blew the wisps of hair around my face and made tears come to my eyes, and I could feel its coldness even through my warm coat and hat and mittens. No boats anywhere. No signs of spies. New towers built near the beach, and more barbed fence. And what looked like soldiers marching along the ocean's edge. Our soldiers. If it were the Germans invading, the church bells would have rung. I rode slowly down the hill through the village. The butcher standing in the shop door nodded his head to me. One of the women I passed smiled. Another waved. They saw me ride by every day. If they thought I should be kept locked up, at least they didn't say so. They didn't look disgusted at me. At home, I unattached Butter, rubbed him dry. I fed him and combed out his tangled mane. I cleaned the saddle and bridle and put them away neatly. I took my time. Then I went into the house where Susan was and asked, "What does the word operation mean?" Chapter 33. Susan took me back to see Dr. Graham so we could explain. He did not re-examine my foot. We sat in his office, all three of us, and he talked, and I listened. "First of all," he said, "understand that we can't proceed without your mother's permission. At this point, it would have to be considered elective surgery, and that's why we've been waiting for her approval." He glanced at Susan. "You haven't gotten it?" She shook her head. "Well, I have been reading up on the procedure," Dr. Graham said. "It wouldn't be me who would do the surgery, and we'd have to send you to a specialist. I've written to one that I think would be best. He does say that you won't ever have a normal foot. Please understand that. You could have if treatment had started early enough, but now you can't." So if her mom would have been responsible and got her the treatment when she was born, it would have been no big deal like today if that happens. "You won't get a normally functioning ankle, but we could hope for a foot that looked normally positioned, that you could walk on it with a plantar surface down." With the plantar surface, I think that's like this part of your foot. He looked at me and added, "Oh, that means the bottom." "What should be the bottom of your foot would be the part touching the ground." I thought about this. "Would it hurt?" I asked. "Would you be sleeping during You would be sleeping during the surgery," he said. "We would give you special medicine to make you stay asleep, and you wouldn't feel anything then. Afterwards, yes, it would, oops. Lost that. We would give you special medicine to make you stay asleep, and you wouldn't feel anything. Afterwards, yes, it would probably hurt. You need to stay in the hospital for quite a long time too, probably several months. Your foot would be kept in plaster cast. Would I be able to wear shoes?" His eyes smiled, even though his mouth did not. "Yes," he said. "When everything was healed, you would." I thought of something else. "Who pays for it?" I asked. "It costs a pile of money to stay in a hospital." Susan and the doctor exchanged glances. "We'll deal with that problem when it comes to it," Dr. Graham said. "I'm sure there are charities we could get involved." Susan and I walked silently home through the blistering, freezing wind. "What are you thinking?" she finally asked. "He said if I started treatment early, I could have had a normal foot." "Yeah," said Susan. "Most babies born with club feet have them fixed right away." "All the way fixed?" Susan put her hand on my shoulder. "Yes, all the way." "I could have always lived outside one room? I could have been just like Jamie running fast," I said. "I thought you kept writing to Mom because you wanted to get rid of us," Susan said. "No wonder you were angry." I felt fragile, not the way I had when I had exploded on Christmas Eve, but the way I felt the next morning when the only thing that kept me together was Jamie's smile, Jamie and Susan's smiles. That makes sense why she was so mad. She always thought she was writing the Mom to get him back, but it was to help her. At home, I sat at the table while Susan put the kettle on. "Do you want to go ride?" she asked. I shook my head. I drank the tea she put in front of me. I pulled my plate over my shoulder and studied the blue ribbon on the end of it. Then I pulled off the shoe Susan had made and pulled off my stockings, looked at my foot, the upward U-shaped ankle, the tiny toes that curled up, not down, the rough calluses where my skin had torn open and then healed over and over again. Susan said, It's not your fault. I said, I always thought it was. I thought I'd done something wrong. I know, Susan said. It's disgusting, I said. Susan said, I never thought so. I searched her face to see if it was a lie. She looked at me steadily. She said, if you feel very angry, go outside and throw something. I didn't feel angry. I felt sad, so sad I could get lost in sadness. But when I finished my tea, I got out paper and pencil, and in my very best handwriting, wrote a letter. Dear Mom, it said, please let me fix it. I don't understand why the mom isn't writing back. Why is she so against letting Ada get her foot fixed? I don't know. Kind of toxic. Kind of makes me feel, again, like how awful the mom is. For whatever reason, she doesn't care about Ada and wants to keep her miserable. Chapter 34. I waited for a reply. Twice a day, the postman dropped letters through the slot on the front door. Twice a day, I went to look. Susan said it would take at least 2 days for the letter to get to London and 2 days for an answer to come back. But 10 days passed and there was still nothing. I bet they aren't delivering letters in London, Jamie said, because of the war. I could tell by the look on Susan's face she didn't think that was true. On the 12th day, a letter I recognized fell at my feet. My own. Return to sender was scrawled across it. No longer at this address. She's moved, Susan said, turning the unopened envelope in my hand. She lives somewhere else now. Susan said perhaps Mom had a new job and had moved to be close to it. She said perhaps the government had requisitioned our flat. She said there were a number of reasons that Mom might have moved. That didn't mean she'd abandon us, and Susan, would make inquiries through the WVS. Someone in London was bound to know where Mom had gone. What happens to us? Jamie asked, wide-eyed. You stay with me, Susan said. Just like you do now. Your mom knows where you are. She knows you're safe. What happens when the war's over? Susan took a deep breath. Your mom will come and get you. What if she doesn't? Jamie insisted. Don't worry, Susan said. I'll make sure someone always takes care of you. I'll take care of him, I said, suddenly furious. I took care of him before, not Mom. I hated. Oh, even in my head, I still couldn't say I hated Mom. Even now, if I could get my foot fixed, maybe she'd be different. Maybe she'd love me. Maybe she would. You did a good job taking care of Jamie, Susan said. But it was a big job, and you shouldn't have had to do it. So now you can relax. I can take care of you. You don't have to fight so hard. She couldn't take care of me. She talked about fixing my foot, but she couldn't do it, not really. It was just all lies. And I wanted my foot fixed so badly. I was tired of it hurting. I wanted to be like a normal person. I wanted to walk without crutches, and I wanted to go to school, and I wanted to wear shoes on both feet. I wanted to be locked up again. I never wanted to be locked up again. I hated crying, but I couldn't help it. I sat on the sofa and sobbed. Susan held me to her. I know, she said. I'm so sorry. I know. She stroked my hair. If it was an emergency surgery, she said, if you broke your leg or if your life was in danger, I could give permission for that. But this is a big operation, and it is elective. You can survive without it. I can't give permission. I've asked the WVS, and I've consulted a lawyer. Without your mom's permission, we can't have it done. I'm sorry. We'll keep looking for her. We'll find her. I don't want to just survive, I said. I know, Susan said. So we'll have to figure out how to make that happen without fixing your foot. It's hard, she said, but that's the truth. That's making me so mad. Like, I don't understand why the mom doesn't just give him permission. What's the big deal? Like, she could give him permission, then run away and never see the kids again. Until tomorrow. Bye, guys.